Welcome to AmA Media. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Thank you and much love.
Fair use.
If you enjoyed this video, leave me a comment.
Several decades ago, we were spring cleaning my friend's house, and we found a Ouija board in their closet. Naturally, we decided to take an immediate break and play with it. After several rounds of interesting responses from the board, along with the customary accusations bouncing back and forth between us of, "You moved it," and, "No, you did," I decided to take a scientific approach to the "who did it" issue since I knew it wasn't me. My friend was blindfolded. There was no way she could see or peek. I then turned the Ouija board upside down and rotated it into different positions between the questions. 6 questions were asked. Only my friend's hands were on the planchette. Each time it stopped moving after a question was asked, I placed my fingers on the selected position and matched it with the letter on the other side of the board so I could decipher the message. I read the results from underneath the board and wrote them on a piece of paper that was behind me, out of sight of my friend. I also did not tell her the selected answers or characters. 2 of the questions were yes or no, and the remainder required spelled-out answers. The results were as follows. 1. All movements of the planchette stopped exactly upon either a yes, no or a character. 2. Answers that required spelling were spelled correctly with no fudging on my part. 3. Finally, the proof that the Ouija worked. I asked for my friend's mom's birthday. This was to test my honesty in matching up the selection device's positions, as I had no idea what her mother's birth date was. The board gave us a date that had the correct month and day but the wrong year, according to my friend. It was off by a couple of years. But, when we told her dad about what we did and how the board got it wrong, he chuckled and told us that the board did, in fact, get her mother's birth year correct. As it turns out, Mom had always adjusted her birth year so people would not know she was older than her husband. Her mom had passed a few years before, and he had all her legal documents in a drawer. Her dad pulled her birth certificate out of the drawer to show us her actual birth date. The Ouija board got it all correct, even when neither she nor I knew the correct answer. She freaked. The board went back into the closet and is still there decades later. I have absolutely no doubt that her hand movements were guided not by her but by some other unexplainable force. I don't know who, but I do know what I saw.
I grew up in an old house that always made creaking noises at night. I had a loft bed in my room with stairs going up from my doorway. The top stair was 5 feet from the ceiling, so as I got older, I had to duck to get to my bed. There was also a tall closet next to the stairs where my cat hung out. My senior year of high school, I was in bed reading really late one night. My cat started growling, looking out my open door into the darkness. I just heard the normal house creaking noises, so I wasn't alarmed. At about 3 a.m., I turned off my lamp to go to sleep, and in the dark, I saw a man standing on the top stair at the foot of my bed. He was wearing a long, gray trench coat and black gloves. I couldn't see his head, because it was in the ceiling. I sat up in bed and shrunk as far away from him as I could. At the same time, my cat jumped down onto my bed and started hissing at him. I bit the inside of my cheeks and tongue, hoping I was asleep and could wake myself up, but nothing helped. I was already awake, he was still standing there, and my cat was still hissing. We stayed that way for about 5 minutes until he slowly faded into the dark. My cat quieted down, and, somehow, I fell asleep an hour later. I was so freaked out that I never told anyone about that night until I went away to college, but I still never mentioned it to my family or anyone from my hometown. My house is haunted, and I mean extremely haunted. There's a room that we simply don't go into because we've all had really horrible nightmares about it and always get a bad feeling when we walk in. Once, I sat in the hallway because a disembodied voice told me not to go into the kitchen yet. A few seconds before a greasy towel caught fire. Our dog growls at one specific spot on the couch so much that we all just avoid sitting there. That's the level of haunted it is. We've had everything checked for mold, pests, carbon monoxide, leaks, etc., and nothing in this house can explain half the stuff that's happened. One of the creepiest things I've experienced while living there is having random visions. They're extremely detailed, specific snapshots of moments. I'd been seeing a therapist when they started, and she screened me for psychotic symptoms when I told her about the episodes, but she found nothing. I'd gotten a physical for sports, and my physical health was perfect, too. I would have simply brushed the visions off, except for the fact that they started coming true. I had a vision of me bent over the sink, spitting out blood, looking up at the mirror with a splatter on my nose. It came true when I got my wisdom teeth out. There was the oddly specific limited edition shirt that I envisioned myself finding at the thrift shop, and I did. My first vision, which I brushed off as deja vu, was passing by a ram's head surrounded by flowers at an art fair. It just kept happening, though. From then on, all but 6 of the visions have come true. They only ever happened in the entryway when I walked through the door. I blame the house. Check for my name on a missing persons list in a few years if my visions are correct.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope you come back soon. So till the next time, much love.